Ready? All right. So, how was it?
Good.
Good? Good?
Great.
Good?
Good.
By yourself, good? Faye? Kita? Yeah?
Very good.
She's like, good. All right, Jen. So, when we think, we have images in our head, we can have sounds, we can have sensations, we can have smells, taste, and that creates an emotion, right? So, when we are born and we lack a language, the way in which a baby goes to sleep, literally, is that they go into bed, unless they're very, very tired, that they begin to cry a lot, but usually when they're very tired, they lay down and they begin to loosen their muscles. Right now we're using usually 70% of our capacity of our lungs. But when you concentrate, we can raise unconsciously that level to 90%. Why? Because concentration means that you're gonna focus one or maybe 5 of your senses on where your awareness is, right? Therefore, in order for our beautiful body, magical, perfect machine, to use even more those senses, you need more oxygen. Therefore, our breathing goes from 70% to around 90. When the baby begins to fall asleep, he begins to surrender to gravity. And therefore, the muscles that are against the bed or the sofa, whatever, begin to soften. And his breathing begins to go more deep. And the images that the baby has begin to fade into the distance, and they begin to slow down inside of it until there's a fucking phone. They begin to slow down into the distance, and he begins to breathe even more deeper until the baby literally goes down. Na na na, na na na. The problem is you can put your butt a little bit to the front, yeah, and just lay down while I speak. Just lay down while I sleep. While I speak, I'm sorry. The problem is when you learned a language, because now you have another element inside of your mind. It could be your internal dialogue or sounds of other people, sounds of places inside of your mind. So the natural way in which all of us fall asleep is the same thing the baby does, and the voices inside of your mind begin to sound very, very slow until the point that the images fade into the distance and you literally fall asleep. That is the way in which we fall asleep naturally, right? We know that that person that grabbed the cigarette didn't know that the first time he put that small dick between his fingers and sucked at it, even if it's a machine, right? he began to create a cortical pathway that then eventually allowed that person to smoke unconsciously, like you unconsciously are driving without knowing how many times you hit the brake, the gas, etc., etc. So when we are practicing in the four quadrants of how both of our minds work, what is that called? It's down on the left. You're becoming what? Conscious, competent, right? You were there? You saw it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yesterday.
Okay, good. So at that moment, you're practicing, right? The thing is that the natural strategy, it's already here of how we fall asleep. So everybody has had a night in which you couldn't go to bed and sleep as easily. And remember, our brain doesn't give a shit what we say a good habit or a bad habit. For a brain is something that you practice, eventually the cortical pathway has enough energy, and then the unconscious mind says, I'll do it for you. Right? So if you are awake and you can't sleep because tomorrow or in 2 weeks you're going on a cruise and you've been planning for this and that, think for a second, how is your thinking if you have been 2 hours in your fucking bed like this with the lights off? The images usually tend to be 100% more faster, very close to you, and instead of having a internal dialogue, you have like 3 twins, motherfuckers, with your same voice talking to you in surround sound. And obviously, it's a little bit challenging to go to sleep with that shit going on here. The problem is that if you do it once, it's okay. But tomorrow, now you're thinking about the shops that are inside the cruise. And the next day, you started to think about the shows that you can go. And then, without knowing it, you're practicing a different strategy of how to think before you go to sleep. Until your unconscious mind says, hey, I got it. So you go into the cruise and you come back. And then you try to sleep and you can't. Why? Because you have mastered a machine that literally out there are students, there are psychologists, psychotherapists, hypnotherapists, therapists, veterinarians, call insomnia. But you don't suffer from insomnia. You create insomnia. And when you take a fucking pill to go to sleep, you are shutting down or putting to sleep which mind? Which mind? Say it. The fuck? We're in kindergarten. The conscious mind. Which mind keeps doing that shit in the background? The unconscious mind. That's why people that drug themselves to go to sleep, when they woke up, they can sleep with the pill 8 hours, 9 hours, 7 hours, and they still wake up like, oh, fuck. Why? Because when we go to sleep, when we begin to fall asleep, when we are putting people into a trance, their brain waves from alpha and beta go down to theta, Theta. That's where you're in a hypnagogic state, where you're beginning to fall asleep when we're putting somebody in a trance. But after you fall asleep, give or take, 90 minutes after, you drop naturally from theta to delta, which is the deepest brainwave that we have. At that point, when you're under 21, give or take, you are secreting the human growth hormone, which allows you to grow, which allows you to regenerate, When you are over 21, it allows you to regenerate. That's when you have people that get sick at the same time, and the person that sleeps the most usually is the one that gets better quicker. Very simple. Regeneration, human growth hormone, besides white cells and all that shit, right? So if you drug yourself, or if you have a client that drugs themselves to sleep, and you're gonna fix them, the first question that you have to ask, in my mind, is that, so if I fix you right now, what are you gonna do with the pills? And they immediately react like a drug addict, because they depend on this small pill to sleep. So you have to, first of all, kill the belief of being dependent of the pill, because if not, that belief, even though you put them down, you put them into a trance, you do the work, that belief is gonna fuck with your work. Make sense? So, you know how to change beliefs. So once you change that belief, right, then they have, in a way, forgotten how it sounds inside of your mind when your internal dialogue begins to slow down. Therefore, they have to relearn first in the conscious state how their internal dialogue sounds when they begin to fall asleep. And it doesn't matter what they say. And I have to pay the car tomorrow. Or I'm gonna go to the spa and have a beautiful massage. Doesn't matter, because what it matters really is the way in which it sounds, right? So let's practice for a moment. So you're gonna say the slowest and sleepy way possible. Tomorrow I'm doing my nails, all right?
Tomorrow, I'm doing my nails.
And I'm gonna hug my husband.
And
You don't believe that?
I do.
Yeah, and I'm gonna stretch. Too fast. There we go.
Should I call him El Jefe?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Okay, El Jefe.
Yeah.
El Jefe, the boss.
See?
I like it. I imagine you like this, and he's like Conan in a throne. Is that? Stay there. I'm El Jefe. Good. Love is in there. All right, so you ready? Yes?
What if I'm a drug addict?
Of the pills? Okay.
A little bit.
Okay. Which pills do you take?
Theanine, like it's natural. It's like magnesium and theanine and valerian root.
Okay.
But I'm suspecting there's a little bit of a, and I've slept without them.
Okay.
But they are on my nightstand.
Okay. So you can leave them in your nightstand and remind you that this small pill like this was controlling you in a way. Right? So you want to go to AA first, get fixed this 12-step program?
Oh.
No? All right. No, I'm asking. All right, good. So the first 3 nights, you can just look at them. And if you need one, you can use them in 2 months.
Okay.
It's a good deal.
It is a good deal.
Yeah. Because life makes us have ways of thinking fast because something happens and we need to solve things, but that's life. But that's once every so often, right? So let's do something. Okay? Have you seen The Mist? Yes? Have you seen the mist in the mountains? In the sea? Okay, good. Have you seen very thick? Yes? Okay. Last question. Do you remember when you were a girl and you saw the movies and you listen in the back, the projector? Okay? Okay. So close your eyes for a second and imagine just a beautiful place that you love, right? But this image is going to be projected on the mist. And obviously, it goes from left to right, the movie, and it begins to dissolve into the distance as slowly as the grass grows. Can you imagine that? All right, good. So, look at me, okay? Put your hand in front of mine. Take a deep breath in. There we go. And just focus on my eye and listen to the vacuum in the back. Just take another deep breath. Begin to just relax. And when my hand touches your hand, close your eyes. Take a deep breath in, a really deep breath. Begin to relax and give me your hand. Let all of the weight of your hand in my hand that I'm gently going to treat your arm. Take another deep breath. There we go. And when my hand gently drops your hand, you're going to drop even deeper inside of you. Deeper. Way much deeper. Because as you go deep, 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 you can just become a little bit more conscious and then go even deeper. There we go. Deeper. Because even when we go to sleep, as when we sneeze, our body takes shit that doesn't belong there. We're going to take things that don't belong in both of your minds. Because, Jen, I want you to feel that you are in your bed and you are in the position in which you like to fall asleep. And I want you to take a very deep breath right now, and the parts of your body that are touching, literally the mattress, begin to soften, and you begin to drop even deeper inside of you. Because the deeper you go, there we go, the deeper you can begin to drop even deeper inside of you. And I want you to see this image in front of you. And it is projected behind you from a projector in mist. And as you begin to watch this movie, and it begins to very, very slowly begin to fade into the distance, just imagine how soft that mist might feel. And I want you to begin to soften your left pinky of your left foot. And then as you watch this film fade into the distance, soften the toe beside the pinky of your left foot as you listen to anything in a very slow voice. And now you soften the middle toe of your left foot. And as you do this and become even more deeper inside of you, you still have the index toe of your left foot, the big toe, you have your ankle of your left foot, your calf of your left leg, your knee of your left knee, your quads of your left leg, your hips of your left leg. As you watch the film, then you have all of the joints of your arm, your left arm, and just begin to soften one by one as you see this image that fades into the distance. So I want you right now to begin again from the pinky of your left toe until you complete all of your body while watching this image of this beautiful place fade into the distance. Begin now. Because even though you're going to hear me talk, you're more concentrated inside, softening every area of your body one by one, watching this image fade as low as the grass goes. And I'm going to touch this finger and ask your unconscious if it understands. Good. So carry on. So the idea is that you slow down everything that they have inside, and you have to make them hear themselves say at least 5 or 6 phrases in a very, very sleepy voice. Because if you allow them to, if you allow themselves to sound a little bit fast, that's stupid, because that's how it's going to sound inside. Okay? Ask them about a beautiful place that they like. So they have that image. She's like, I don't know, the beach or whatever. It's going to be fading into the distance, but like this. And they're going to listen to themselves. So while they're watching this, they're softening first this pinky, and then this pinky, and then this one, da, 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 da. So you give the orders, and then once you say, do this on this side and the other side, and now while you're watching this fade into the distance, and everything that you tell yourself is literally slow or da, or they begin to soften things. So you are literally collapsing inside a lot of stuff, and you let them cook. You don't bring them out. Literally, you don't bring them out. You let them cook. Because their unconscious is relearning how the fuck to fall asleep. When do you bring them out? When they're gone. Because if you say, I'm going to touch this finger, and I want your unconscious to hear me, do you hear me? Nothing moves, is because they're gone. You don't want them in a hypnagogic state. You want them down. So they actually did what they're supposed to. They're not going to be in a trance when they go to sleep. They're going to do the strategy and then fall asleep. Do you get it? So if you hear a snore, it's beautiful. All right? So You work with Poliana. You work with Faye. You work with him, and you work with him. All right, let's go. Deeper. Just let go. Let go. And as you are in there, Jen, think about the pills. Think about the magnesium and the valerian shit and all that. And just say, in my mind, I have a pharmacy. And I'm going to use it. I'm going to use this pharmacy. And I'm going to use this pharmacy for me. For me.